Welcome to the NAIFA Big Ideas webinar, How to Build a $1 Million Benefits Agency. I am Brendan Burnett, NAIFA's Director of Professional Development. With me today is Danny O'Connell, CEO and founder of Next Level Insurance. Danny started his company to address the future trends of healthcare, integrated technology, and practical solutions to lower costs. Danny has been in the financial services industry since 2001, and he's specialized in employee benefits since 2006. Danny became the third Texan ever to be honored by NAIFA in 2014 with their Advisor Today 4 Under 40 National Award. Danny has over 30 published articles on healthcare reform, and he was a frequent contributor to Fox News Radio on the Affordable Care Act. He is frequently asked to speak all over the United States and internationally on various insurance topics, and Danny is married with 4 children, and he has served as the NAIFA Dallas president. He's served on the NAIFA Texas board, also NAHU, and is a member of the $1 Million Roundtable. Today we will discuss how to build a benefits agency generating over $1 million in revenue with a sole producer. In fact, in the last 13 years, Danny has built 2 of them, and today he will provide his secrets with a focus on how to maximize revenue. Danny, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Brendan. So the short answer here, it's hard work, right? That's all you need to know. Just a lot of hard work will get you there. Now, in reality, in our industry, as people are getting into the business, it's important to understand recurring revenue and what that can do to sustainability in the business. And so you look at things that generate recurring revenue, and certainly the employee benefits practice is one of them. And so for me, the last 13 years of my professional career, that's where I've really focused my effort, my attention. For me, it's something that's been very rewarding, something that I'm passionate about. I'm going to talk a little bit about that passion. So thank you for that introduction, Brendan. So you gave a little bit of this away already. I was in an agency for about a decade and built a $1 million book of business on roughly 250 groups. A lot of it was small employers, focusing really in that 2 to 50 employee market. And I built something from being just me to having a team of 5 people. And so that's part of it, right? You need other people around you to support you to make this go. And in August of 2016, that's when I started my own agency, and I've been the sole producer. And for 2019, for this year, our revenue will exceed $1.25 million, roughly 220 employer groups. We range anywhere from 2 to 300 employees. We've got a team of 7 people, including myself, and our goal for 2020 is to get to $1.5 million in revenue. So that doesn't just happen, right? You have to be very focused and be proactive in what you do. And I want to share some of the things that have worked with me or for me over my career with everybody today. So the definition of success, it's very different for all of us, right? It can be happiness, it can be finding peace, spending time certain places. We read a lot of books, we listen to a lot of podcasts, we see a lot of speakers. But when you're talking about the traits of success, the things that you have to get to that successful mark of where you want to be. The first one, obviously, we know, hard work, passion. You have to have passion for what you do, and hopefully the passion for what I do will come through today. You have to have drive, creativity, and determination. And so when I think of drive, to me, that means I'm self-motivated. You want to do more. You take a lot of pride in what you're doing, and that all goes into that drive for me. Determination. This business, you hear a lot of no's, and you work your way through it, but you have to be determined to see it all the way through. And in our business, in the benefits world, no may just mean not this year, and it's okay to go back to those people who may not be ready for you this year and see them in future years. Even when it comes down to having lost clients. I've lost clients before and gone back to them because I was very proud of the work that I did, and I've gotten clients back, which is one of the great things about the benefits world. And the fact that I get to show my creativity. I consider myself a problem solver. I love to solve problems and find new ways of doing something different. And to me, our business, the benefits business, really provides a lot of creativity. You know, back before the Affordable Care Act, there were a lot of people that started to look at HSA type plans and higher deductibles with reimbursement type plans, and even doing reimbursements on individual type of policies. And now that creativity is different than what it was before, but we're always trying to look ahead and see what's coming down the road. So to build $1 million agency, this whole presentation, it's all about generating revenue, right, at the end of the day. So how do we get to $1 million in revenue for our benefits agency? And that's the cornerstone of this. So one, it's finding what you love. You know, we can do life and disability. We have our multi-line property casualty licenses. But it's finding what you love. And hopefully I kind of covered that on the last slide. Understand why you love it. Why are you passionate about what it is that you do? It's got to be more than just paying the bills. For me, it's problem solving. It's being creative. It's solving something that is a major crisis in our country right now. And you have to be able to articulate it. Share your why you do what you do. This isn't your elevator speech. And so lots of times when I hear people, especially newer in the business, their elevator speeches are focused on, well, I can do anything. I can do home and auto, annuities and life and disability. And you have to understand that to somebody not in the industry, that any lay person, any common person, they aren't going to remember what it is that you do. You're not separating yourself. You have to be able to articulate what it is that you do and why you do it. For example, we work with employers primarily in the 10 to 100 employee life space with regard to their employee benefits, because we found it's gotten actually more confusing with the passage of the Affordable Care Act. And so if you ever have questions or you're frustrated with what you're paying or your plan, I'm your guy to talk to. What happens is if you can articulate one thing of what it is that you do and why you're passionate about it, you will get phone calls about the other things. People call us all the time and say, hey, I know you don't handle this, but, hey, I know you don't do this, but, hey, we were thinking about doing a 401k plan. Is that something that you can do? Absolutely. So if somebody can remember you for one thing, they'll come to you and ask you if you know who can help them for other things, or if you can help them for those things. So you have to be memorable. So I'd encourage you to look at how you're communicating what it is that you do. I talk about you have to be referable. So if you say that you do everything, you're being referable to nobody. But if you can articulate you can do one thing, then you can be referable to everybody, because they know the one thing that what you do and how to introduce you, and the time when somebody says something to introduce you to somebody. And so we talked about our plan. We talked about our practice. Our practice now, we do employee benefits primarily for that 200 to 300 employee life group. Our niche is the 10 to 100 employee groups. We do have 401k plans because we're wanting to generate multiple streams of revenue. We do handle life and individual disability. And at the end of the day, to get you where it is that you want to be, you have to understand that you're running a business. You want to get as many different streams of revenue coming into you and into your agency as possible. You need to be process-driven. So I'm always a little surprised when I talk to people that are in the benefits business and they say, hey, I want to know about your process. I want to know about how it is that you do it. And so one, you have to have a workable process. You know in this space, if you've worked in this space for 6 months, you know what the process is. You get the information from the client, from the prospect. You send it out to quote it. You schedule your follow-up appointment. You need to take the information and compile it in a way that's easy to understand. And then you go and you meet with them and present it. And then you have your follow-up. That's the process. It's very workable. Even as an individual, use the tools that you have. So for the first year that I was in the business, I didn't have a staff. I didn't have enough business to warrant a staff. I did everything. I was cold calling. I was getting in front of everybody that I could. I used my Outlook and the tools that were available to me as my follow-up. I knew that I was very, very bad at follow-up. And so at the beginning, when my calendar wasn't full, I would put my appointments or my reminders in my calendar. Then as my calendar started to fill up, I started using the tasks. So I would get in and every day I would have tasks assigned to me. Now most of us have a CRM tool, a database with our clients, that you can set those appointments and those reminders in your CRM tool. But if you don't, that's okay. Use your calendar system. And once you have that system down, it's simply training other people on how to use that system. I found that you personally have to do each activity so you understand the time frame and what it looks like so you can train other people. I had somebody that told me he was going to pay somebody, $15 an hour and expected them to generate $50,000 a week in revenue. Well, sure, who doesn't want to do that? And if somebody could do that, they probably wouldn't be working for $15 an hour. But more importantly, if you can't generate $50,000 in weekly revenue, how are you going to train somebody else to do that? And you have to remember, nobody on your team is going to have the passion that you have. So it's important as a leader and as you build out a team, people even on your team understand your why and they see your passion. Share the successes with your team. Show them that the work that they do matters and what it means to the companies, to employees with regards to their benefits. And so that sounds kind of silly, but you'd be surprised. But know how you get paid. In the benefits business, when they pay their premiums, you typically get paid. Know what commission percentage you're getting paid. In your non-medical, things like disability, dental, vision, and on your partially self-funded plans or ERISA plans or level-funded plans, you can set your compensation. A lot of people aren't aware of that. A big thing is, are you charging fees? Our profession, our industry, it's been hard for people to adapt this model of charging fees. And so with the more ERISA, level-funded, partially self-funded plans that we do, the more medically underwritten plans that we do, in Texas, the more and more we saw it going to a per employee per month, you could call it commission, but compensation basis. So what was happening was we were losing a 4.5% or 5% commission, and it was going to a per employee per month model. Well, when you have companies that are insuring a lot of family members, you're giving up a lot of revenue. And so one of our best clients, a couple of years ago, we went through and we sent over the comparison after we got the firm rates back, and it was saving them a fortune. And the admin sent it over, and he said, "Is this right?" And I said, "Well, it is, but it doesn't include our fee." He said, "Okay, what's your fee?" And I told him, and I developed a scale based on the size of the company. And based on the premium that they pay, they would turn around and pay us a fee. And they said, "We're saving $120,000 a year after paying you. Not a problem, done." Had I not done that, I would have lost 75% of the revenue on one of our largest clients. And so it's okay to think outside the box. It's really easy when you're showing somebody a massive savings. It's a lot easier to articulate your value proposition at that point, but be able to articulate. Don't just tell everybody, "Oh, well, we have a great service team." Talk to them about your process, how you're different, what you're doing that's different. And so in 2018, our fee income was around $80,000. This year, it'll be a little bit over 10% or at 10% of our revenue at $120,000. We put together an agreement with our clients, and so they know exactly what they're getting and what we're going to do for them, ads, terms. I went through and included a review for them of the 401k plan, so then mid-year I reach out and say, "Hey, part of our agreement, you get a free, no-cost 401k review. It's included in the fee that you're paying us." So it's a great way to cross-sell, open more doors, and to do more business and drive more revenue. Know your payout on life and disability cases. You'd be surprised. Some of these life insurance companies pay based on GDC, they pay on target, they pay based on all different types of things. So know how you get paid out by the carriers. The 401k plans, what is your compensation on those? For us, it's not a big money maker. It's kind of a loss leader, but it is getting our foot in the door and just getting another hook in terms of revenue. Payroll providers. If you are in the benefit space, you are most likely going to, if you have not been asked, about different payroll companies. There are payroll companies that pay you referral fees. There are ones that don't. Know the ones that pay you fees. Know the ones that don't. Have a short list to refer those payroll companies into your clients. I already know. I have 3 different payroll companies based on what it is that that client needs or is looking for that I can refer into. I get referrals back from payroll companies because they know that we work well together and we get their value. And because of that, last year our fees from payroll companies were $38,000 a year that we were making in revenue just for handing off. And the great thing about it is you have better control. So you've already vetted them. You know what payroll companies work well, who is going to live in line with your mission and your values, who works well with your team. You get another hook into the group, and you get additional revenue. So in our groups that are with payroll companies at renewal time, we know that we can go directly to the payroll company and get the information that we need. We don't even have to bother our client for it. We have great working relationships with those companies and those partners, and it's driving our bottom line. I've used a telemarketer in the past. I've found success in the 10 to 40 person employer group range. I think it's very important with a telemarketer, you equip them with as little information as possible. You do not want them getting into a debate on healthcare reform. You don't want them giving away any, unique things that you bring to the table. I had always trained mine that if they ever ask a question, your simple response is, that's a great question and a great reason for you to meet with Danny. Are you better mornings or afternoons? And start segueing that way. They're there to open a door. They're not there to get into a debate or necessarily convince somebody of why to use you. I made phone calls myself for months. And the goal, it's always to get some bit of information on each call. If you have a first name, try to get a last name. Try to get an email. Try to get the effective date. Anything that you can on that phone call. Start doing joint with other advisors. So I saw my agency, my first agency, really take off when I started working with other advisors within our broker-dealer and now even within NAIFA itself. The reason being, there are advisors that have relationships with business owners that have their 401k plan, their life insurance, their disability. They already have the relationship. They can bring you in and you write joint work. The great thing about having other advisors, you put them on the application. It's like having somebody out there prospecting for you that you're not having to pay a salary. And so my goal is to get as many different advisors out there looking for cases for me. Even if I can get 1, 2, or 3 a year from 10 different people, that's 10 to 30 groups that are coming in the door that we're having the opportunity to write their business at a much higher closing ratio without it costing me anything. So it's a great way for me to prospect. So within my broker-dealer in 2017, I did about $7,000 in new revenue. This year, that's gone up. I'm fairly new. I transferred over probably about a year and a half ago in the broker-dealer, and they're a little bit more spread out than my previous one, but I'm hoping to build those relationships and generate more revenue. This year we have. My referrals from insurance companies in 2018 generated $20,000 in new revenue. So somebody calls an insurance carrier, they get a name, or they reach out and they pass them on. Those are great opportunities and great leads right there. Within MDRT, we wrote a startup 401k plan with $300,000 in monthly revenue flow going in. This is with an advisor who's in California, and he had all the business on the business owners in Texas, in North Texas, and they held and owned a very large, completely vertically integrated oil field services company with over 300 employees and no 401k plan. They had a benefits broker in place. They had a 3-year agreement with the benefits broker, but the benefits broker could not and never was able to write the 401k plan on this case. And so this was a referral from another advisor in California that all helped us add to our bottom line. Outside of our broker-dealer, other advisors that I've worked with in the past, and I'm working with now, $30,000 in new revenue in 2018. We just wrote a hotel for January 1st of this year, got them off of a PEO and wrote a hotel that was joint with an outside advisor that we never would have gotten into because of that joint work and our relationship with other people. P&C agents. We hold our P&C license, and I've got 3 different P&C agents geographically based across the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex that I can refer business to, and they send business back to us. We actually wrote the Texas Society of CPAs based on a relationship with a P&C agent, which is a great name and a great referral source, and the fact that you can go and tell your clients that the Texas Society of CPAs is a client, and then continue to try to work the CPAs within the association for new business. That's huge, huge opportunity for us and big win, and that came from a P&C agent among other business that we have. PEO payroll companies. So we get referrals from payroll companies and PEOs. PEOs, a lot of times, they want to put all the business on the platform and their benefits platform, but their benefit platform is not the right fit. And so they bring us in and we can write the business and they'll do the administration on it. And in 2018, there's about $70,000 in new revenue there. So on this page so far, we're up to 180, about 190 in revenue. And then within NAIFA, in 2018, we wrote $70,000 in new revenue joint with other advisors. I have advisors in Houston, Austin, all over Texas, and even in other states that I've met through NAIFA that have referred us business or given us great ideas that we've been able to implement. So on here, again, we're at 190 plus 70, about $260,000 in revenue just in 2018 due to these different sources. So it's really easy for me to articulate and show you the value of my NAIFA membership right there in dollars and cents. So the easy thing, you just go do that 4 years in a row, and you're at over $1 million in a benefits agency. But those are just some ideas and some different ways to prospect, to build. Do not discount joint work business with other advisors in your area. We did an acquisition through this year back in June, and it was a life insurance kind of general agency, and we were able to get access to a lot of the agents that were writing business through there, and we've been able to continue and get referrals from those folks. And we just had a call with a new potential prospect this morning for January 1st. That'll be a great client, all because maintaining those good relationships. Volunteering, being active in your association, such as NAIFA, is priceless on getting to know people that can benefit you and that you can benefit and work together. Our current Medicare person, we met through NAIFA. When I started my agency back in 2016, I didn't have a Medicare specialist, but I have one now, and it's all because of NAIFA, and she does a phenomenal job with my clients. And having that person I can trust, can't put a price on it. So shifting gears a little bit, I want to talk about some marketing efforts. It goes back to a little bit about what we talked before, making those in your circle aware of what you do, giving them one thing that you do and make yourself referable. Use the industry publications that you have, Insurance Newsnet, Advisor Today, it doesn't matter. Contact them. Find out what content they're looking for, even if it's an op-ed, an opinion editorial piece that they are looking for. Contact them and feel free to write for them. Send them something. Be sure to get it approved through your compliance and your broker-dealer. And that's what Brendan was talking about. Now we're probably close to 40 different publications from CBS Money Watch, Yahoo Finance, all the way across the board in national publications. Your clients, a lot of them are already involved in associations and associations that have luncheons. Offer to go to their luncheon, sponsor a luncheon. Contact local chapters of SHRM, Society of Human Resource Managers. Speak at NAIFA events. Get your name out there and let people know what it is that you do. had a client that was in marketing and public relations, and he got me in with the Fox News radio station, so I did a lot of that. I would share it on social media. My clients would see that, and so they would come and invite me to speak at their luncheon. That leads to the point about using social media. For me, my strategy previously was to really connect with somebody through LinkedIn prior or just after the meeting, and then after a couple weeks of interaction or they became a client, connect with them on Facebook and other forms of social media. With LinkedIn, it's great. You can print out a PDF of your essentially resume. And I walked in one time and was meeting with a business owner. He goes, "This all sounds great, but I already have somebody. I know nothing about you." And I pulled out my LinkedIn profile and I go, "Well, here's this about me. I've written over 35 different articles, but I'm sure that your advisor's done the same." And he goes, "All right, point taken," set it aside, and we continued on the conversation. So it's not just using social media outside of meetings. It can be used even in meetings. You have to understand people are looking you up, and they look you up before they even meet with you. I love Facebook and connecting with my clients there because then I can see what's going on in their lives. So when I go in and meet with them, we have more meaningful conversations. Instead of, "Well, what did you do last summer?" It's, "Wow, tell me about the trip that y'all took to Disney World with the grandkids. That looked amazing." And then they can see about you as well. Give referrals. Give referrals to your clients. One of the best referral talks that I was ever given was from actually a real estate agent. And go in and meet with a business owner and ask, who is it that you want to do business with? And you probably know 1, 2, or 3 people that they would be interested in talking to. And they're going to immediately turn around and pick their jaw off the floor and say, "Wow, who is it that you want to talk with?" And you get the referrals back in return. Marketing sources, these are 2 resources that you can go and get information on companies. MyEdge, like $40 a month, and this is all driven off of companies that have a 5,500. So they either have a 401k or they have over 100 employees enrolled in a benefit plan. It gives you amazing information. Another one that we use was BusinessWise. That is not benefit specific, but it gives you a ton of information about the company, their address, who the leadership team is, all of that. And that one's a little bit more expensive, but great information there. Use press releases. So you can sign up for a service called PR Web and release out press releases. These are just a couple we did this year. One of them was through our acquisition or about our acquisition of the benefits agency. And then we turned around and used that link, put it on social media, send it out to all of our clients, had it in our signature line. Another one was just about our Soaring Eagle Award that we won from NAIFA about our benefits agency. I try to put out a press release about once a quarter. It keeps you out in the news. And Yahoo Finance, for whatever reason, loves us, so they picked us up a couple times here this year, which is instant credibility, and you can send that out. We've used Zywave system for marketing. They've really changed a lot of what they've done over the years. We use that for HR resources, ACA updates. There's an 800 number that you can use for HR resources for your top clients. They've got great marketing pieces and benchmarking tools. There's a lot of just good resources there that make you look really professional and like you have somebody that's putting together marketing materials for you. So they've been a great resource for us. We talked about social media. I try to post the things that I would be interested in. There's way too much political going on. There's way too much judgmental going on. I try to find things that are uplifting, interesting, that would be interesting to business owner, HR people. Also show that we're out in the community and we're doing things, that we're seeing people, and share inspirational things with my folks. I do not use my social media to sell insurance. I do not put anything about rates or quotes or anything like that up there, but I do tell them if I share something to feel free to reach out to us and how to contact us. Again, this is just my LinkedIn profile picture, and the cover photo is me speaking on the main platform at the $1 Million Roundtable a couple years ago in Orlando. For me, it's important, I believe, across all forms of your social media, try to have the same headshot so that people know that that's you. And then on my cover pages, I've had a lot of times I'll rotate out with different times of me speaking. And so for me, I think that this is pretty neat because you go to my LinkedIn and the first thing you do is see me speaking on a massive stage. Even if you don't know what MDRT is, you can see that obviously I'm up in front of a large audience there.
Danny, this is Brendan. I'm going to interrupt just for a second. We're not seeing your slides right now, and we really haven't needed them up until now with your great audio. But could you please try to share that slide of you there on the LinkedIn? We'd love to see that, please.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. Is that better?
Yeah, we're
Those slides?
Still not seeing that for some reason. But
Okay.
Yeah, no problem at all. Proceed as you were. Thank you.
Yeah, that's good to know. That was working before, so, let me see here. Let me see if we can get that back up and going. I'm so sorry. Thank you for letting me know. How's that one?
Yep.
You
Outstanding.
got it now, Brennan?
Loud and clear. There you go. Thank you.
All right. I'm so sorry. Yeah. So it's important to track everything within your agency. Know how many people you see a week, how many you actually present to, where are these prospects coming from, who are your best referral sources, where are your marketing dollars best being spent. For my first 2 years, I tracked everything, and I knew that if I got to see somebody and present to them, I had a 44% closing ratio. I've moved on and tracked different things, but I go back and I look each year at what I do. Last year, we had an 83% closing ratio. Why? Part of it I attribute that to is because we have so much joint work and referrals. Very beneficial. So this is another metric that I think a lot of people don't really fully appreciate. And it's one of those things that you could say it's the chicken or the egg. Which one comes first? And so know how many covered lives you have in your book of business. A lot of times you talk about per employee per month. Know what your PEPM is. And what I mean by that is for every person that you have covered on a health insurance plan, how much are you making in terms of revenue each month? And so I factor in, the life insurance, the vision, the dental, the disability, which we really upsell on. And so across our book on average, prior to the acquisition, our PEPM was $54 per enrolled member per month. And once you know what you're making per enrolled per member per month, there's two things that you can do. One, you can easily look at how you can increase that revenue. And then two, you know exactly how many you need to get to your goal or $1 million book of business. I shared with you our closing ratio last year. Track everything. Like we said, where do your highest closed leads come from? How many appointments do you need to get to reach to your goals? How are you going to get there this week? What is your strategic plan for next year? And what are the tactics that you're going to use to get there? And so we've implemented different things each year on how we go about trying to get in front of people and generate new business. But know how much you're making per enrolled member per month. So this is one of the things I adopted a few years ago. And I would go to these meetings and they talk about client ranking. I was like, I know who my important clients are and who I think my best ones are. And I didn't do it. And then I finally kind of had an epiphany. And I said, well, what if I rank them and I look at what they're actually generating and use this for cross-sales opportunities? And so back when I first started this, a green level client, my tier 1, was paying $10,000 or more in monthly premium. Tier 2 is $5,000 to $10,000, and then the lowest tier was below $5,000 in monthly premium. And for those folks, it was what can we do to raise that revenue? Can we get referral sources? Can we cross-sell? What can we do? And I went to one of my sales reps with a voluntary benefits company. I said, okay, here are my top clients. And at the time, I had probably 20 opportunities if they did not have your service, and I'd like to put together a marketing plan and go out and get you implemented in there. They told me if we can hit a certain number, I will personally pay you a bonus out of my own pocket. We hit that number, got a bonus from them, and the revenue went up. This also helps identify gaps in coverage for clients of what they do and do not have. And as a result of it, I got more concentrated, more focused. We drove revenue, and now my ranking system has changed. The dollar premium has gone up substantially between my green and my yellow and my red groups. So it drove revenue within my existing groups. It added different lines of benefits in our groups, adds to that stickiness to them, and all the while it adds to the bottom line of your business. Also, your companies change over time. One that you had ranked maybe as a lower or mid-tier, they grow, they acquire, and sometimes they move up. And then other companies that you think are doing really great, they've lost employees, let people go, and they shrink. And so it's always a good measure to take a look and see where those clients are. Not necessarily from a service standpoint. I don't mean that you have to give people different service, but we're talking about how to build $1 million benefits agency. This is about how to drive revenue and how to grow that bottom line of your business. Building a team. So I get asked a lot about this. Again, when I got started, it took me about a year before I needed somebody as a backup and somebody to help me. And so these are different people that have helped and still, on a lot of occasion, work on our team. There's myself, my wife. When we first started the agency, she was helping me with a lot of HR things, a lot of payroll, just things I didn't want to have to mess with. And then on kind of that second middle row there, young lady, Holly, she was one of the first employees that wound up coming over with me, and she and I had worked together, maybe about 7 months. She was phenomenal. I've got another person that I refer financial planning, 401k business to, life and disability a lot of times, and we just write that on a joint basis because, again, you can only be a master of so many things. And so just as you do joint business, recognize that sometimes you can even hurt a relationship if you try to do everything and bring somebody else in. This lady was a NAIFA member that I was telling you about. Phenomenal NAIFA member in NAIFA Dallas, and I've utilized her for years and years and years for our Medicare needs, which is a great benefit for our clients. After I started my agency in August of 16, this young lady came and joined us in January of 17, and it was actually through another NAIFA member who they were being geographically relocated and going to have to close their office. And so, again, NAIFA hard at work for me right there. The next young lady, she was the spouse of the operations director at the gym that I was working out at, who happened to be a client, by the way, and so found her. The gentleman down here at the bottom middle, he came on board after we acquired his agency back in January of 18. And then we added this young lady back about a year and a half ago. And then the last one, she's my operations director, and we got lucky with her. She had moved out of the area, then came back. Distance and time in the office was a little bit of a challenge for her, but she knew all the ins and outs of our broker-dealer operational systems. She's now getting licensed and even bringing in business for us. I love to have my team licensed. I even pay them a bonus if they do get their license. Personally, my experience has been better when I have brought people outside the industry in, because I want to train them my way. I want them to understand the way that I want to do it. And a lot of times, no offense, but if they work for carriers, that's going to be a very different mindset or a very different way from how I handle it. And so to me, it's more important about finding people that have good customer service skills, have been in hospitality business, hotels, restaurants. They've worked on the front line. They've dealt with customers. They know what that's about and how to let that go. And to me, that's more important than having industry experience, because the experience that they have probably isn't going to be what I'm looking for, and I can train them. Culture is huge with me. So discuss your culture regularly. We sit down and we talk about it and have a planning day in January. I have the team identify the core values of what's important to them, and we list them out. When we bring people in, that's part of the interview process. As a leader, a business owner, an agency owner, it's your job to maintain the culture. I think corporate America and businesses get it wrong too many times. They will have rules in place, and then as soon as somebody breaks them, then they change the rules, and the people who follow the rules suffer. And it brings the whole workplace down. Here, I'm committed to our culture, and if somebody can't follow or work or operate, then they don't fit in our culture, and so they don't fit in our organization. And you find that you get more respect from your team and your company by upholding those instead of punishing those that are following the rules. You have to give balance and understanding to your team. Now, anymore, anybody can work from anywhere in the world. Two of those young ladies on the previous slide, they have moved away. One lives in Florida and one lives in Colorado. We're based in Dallas. We haven't missed a beat. They do a phenomenal job, and they're just great team members, so why not? You know, as silly as it seems, treat people as adults. I see too many business owners that are so controlling and just don't give people their space and don't treat them with respect or as adults. Be sure to do that with your team. And ask your employees about expectations. What are their expectations of their job? What is their expectation of you as a leader, as a business owner, as an agency owner, and as a salesperson? And let them talk. Just listen to them. You'll be surprised at what they hear, what they say. So we talked a little bit about this. The service team, look outside the industry. I've used Indeed previously and had some luck with that. You know, interns in colleges, look to buy the right agencies. They have to make sense with your culture and what you can handle and what you can take on. Study your financials before you add bodies and add people to it. And be sure to study the issue instead of just throwing bodies at the problem. A lot of times we just try to hire and get rid of the problem that way, but then the problem still persists. So be sure to know your business and spend time working both on and in your business. Have a job description, not people descriptions. And what I mean by that is when you bring somebody in, you want to have a list of this is what we need somebody to do. You don't want to necessarily say, all right, what is it that you want to do? Or you've been here the longest, we're going to give you all this information and you're going to handle this, and then all the stuff you don't want to do, we're going to hire some other employee to handle the stuff that you don't want. Have job descriptions so people know exactly what it is that they're supposed to be doing and write goals around that, performance metrics, so that they know what they're supposed to be doing, how to execute their job, and how they're doing their job correctly or incorrectly. Lots of times in our business, somebody will just hire an admin or assistant to come in and work, and they do everything from payroll, customer service, and they're putting every fire out in the office of an agency. And as you grow, it's important to know that people have a clear understanding of what's expected of them and what their job is. Treat your people above and beyond. And so one of our clients used to be Bob Bodine. He's an inspirational speaker and author and person I follow on Twitter. And one of his great lines was, go where you're celebrated, not where you're tolerated. And that really even was, for me, applied to NAIFA, because when I went to NAIFA meetings, I went to places, I felt like I was celebrated. My hard work was appreciated. Nobody just wants to go to a job. They want to go a place where they have vision, have something in front of them. They can feel like they are celebrated and they can be successful. So be sure to celebrate your people, their birthdays, their work anniversaries, all kinds of different things whenever you can. A year ago, we gave everybody spa memberships. We have a client that's a spa, and so we just got a corporate membership, and everybody had a service that they could go in there once a month. Now, I want to eat healthier as well, so the last year we've been ordering in Snap Kitchen just to have healthy meals here within our building in our office, and I've got a staff member that does that, so my employees don't even have to come out of pocket for lunch if they don't want to. We've got the flexibility that a lot of times people can work from home. You know, put in benefits in your own agency, 401k plan, bonus plan. We read books together as a group. I have the luxury a lot of times of going out and seeing these great speakers at NAIFA and MDRT and other places, and I hear about these books and I read them, and my team doesn't. And so it's been fun for us that we read about a book a quarter, and then we sit down and we talk about it. It's not mandatory, but every time somebody has come up to me and said, thank you for having me read this. I really needed this book at this point in time. This is a fun thing that I actually got from another agent, an agency, and at the holidays, they took the morning off and they went and took their employees on a shopping spree, and they gave them a little bit of money, and they had to buy something for themselves. It can be for somebody else, and another team member had to hold them accountable. And I, sat down, kind of held down the email, the phones, and everything while they all went, and then we came back to the office to work, and it was just something fun, a little give back, get them out of the office, and get the holiday spirit. We've done events together outside the office, team building. We talked about birthdays and work anniversaries. To me, community service is something that's very important. And so we've gone out and worked at food banks and other different places that we've gotten out of the office and been able to volunteer in community service events. Just want to give my employees and my team the opportunity to succeed professionally and personally. I think that's part of it. Have your employees and your team members join associations and go to the meetings so that they can learn as well. And send them to carrier meetings. If there's home office meetings, we all get them. Let your staff go. Let them learn. Let them have a good time with it as well. I want them to get educated. I want them to know these things, so I'm not the only one that's having to remember it all. Be sure to give your team members and your people the opportunity to give you feedback. We used to do monthly feedback forums from everybody, just 4 quick questions on what's working, what's not, their goals, those types of things. Quarterly, at least semi-annually, do reviews with your employees, review their job descriptions, where they're succeeding, where they need work on, and go through, any type of bonus structure and what the next 6 months to a year looks like for them. We've done surveys within our team at the end of last year based on who our best partners are to work with, from payroll to carriers to administrative people. I've done surveys of my staff. We even have a template for our clients to do surveys. I've got a person on our team that now, 90 days after an open enrollment, contacts the clients and goes through and does a survey of them about what worked well and what didn't. I think it's important to have somebody else do that. It's not just me to try to get honest feedback. And again, just be sure to appreciate them and let them know what they do matters, and continue to develop and train them. CRM, we've used Agency Block. I'm not saying that that's the best one out there, but it's the one that we've used. I've been really surprised to learn how many agencies don't have an official CRM or customer management tool. You have to have one. You have to have one for notes, for processes, to share information. I had used GBS back in the day, for a lot of you that may remember that, and then we transitioned to Agency Block. And there's some pros and cons to everything, but you just have to find what's going to work for you and what works right for your team. Managing the business, working on, not working in it. As a business owner, it's a lot more than just being a salesperson. It's a lot of fun out there making new sales and driving revenue, but you're capped by your time and your ability and what you can do. Building a team really allows you exponential growth, but you have to work on the company. You have to work on the agency. You have to be willing to share information and performance and metrics with your team. And that's when you start to get that really, really good growth, that 15, 20, 25% growth year over year, not just the 5% growth. That's the industry standard. We talked a little bit about just your numbers before, but know your financials, review your financials monthly, compare to each month, year over year, quarter over quarter, so you know whether you're growing, where you're growing. Use a bookkeeper. Don't try to keep up all the books to yourself with everything else that you have going on. Make decisions based on your financials. It's okay to put things off and say, we can't do this right now, but we're going to schedule that out maybe in a year. Drill down so you know where all of your revenue is coming from life insurance, from disability, payroll services, health insurance, retirement plans. That way it also helps you strategically plan where you can grow revenue and what's an easy place for you to add to your bottom line, and then also where you are not getting the ROI. If you're spending 20% of your time on life insurance and it's only accounting for 3% of your sales, look, either you need to do things differently or focus your attention somewhere else. You have to be able to refine the process, especially as you add team members. The more people that come on board, you're going to have to continue to refine it. So you need to have an open discussion with your team on what's working, what's not. Have a 12-month plan for your company development. We use the one-page business plan. We sit down and go through that as a team, and then I also have each individual fill out their own. You know, focus on things you're going to work on next quarter. Communicate to staff upcoming projects. Evaluate your systems, what may need to change, and is it the person or the process? Just because something isn't working, it doesn't necessarily mean it's the person. It may be the process that's in place. And so understand why things, when they're not working, why they're not working. Again, as we talked about before, be sure to share your successes. This will help drive, inspire, and motivate your people. If you can do a bonus structure, what we do is, in years past when I qualify for a carrier bonus, 50% of that gets divided among the staff. Ask them, find out what winning feels like to them. Challenge them. If you don't want an ugly fourth quarter, what has to happen, and are you doing it? You know, each year since we've done the agency, it's been better and better in what we've processed and how we've done it. And it drives me nuts how people in our industry get very down about the fourth quarter, about the work. But it's a good thing. We need that. If we're not busy during the fourth quarter, that's a big problem. And so we try to make that a positive, and I tell the people that come in our doors that as well. Be sure, again, to share the outcomes, the wins with the clients, with your staff. That helps give them meaning. This was an example, a lot on this slide, but what I'm trying to do more and more is trend and show what it is that we do. And so this was a client that we took over, and we were able to move them each year to different ERISA type plans out of the fully insured market. Small employer, they had a lot of health issues. The first year that we got them from 16 to 17, they were at $197,000 in annual costs. It was going to $230,000. We got them down to $207,000. The next year, that renewal of $207,000 was going to $247,000, and we got them down to $202,000. And so you can see that savings year over year. And I try, and it's not easy, but I'm challenged to be sure to show this to our clients because they get upset that the rates are always going up. Be sure to show them historical performance of what you've done for them over time. All right, in summary, find your passion and communicate it. You know, find out, why is it? Take time. It is very important. Take time to think about why it is that you do what you do. And it's got to be more than just a paycheck. Why do you love to do what you do? And be able to communicate that. Have a repeatable process that's easy to work and train other people on. You want to generate multiple streams of revenue, be it referral sources, different types of products, but really become a specialist in year one. Plan and communicate the plan with your team. Incentivize them to align with your overall goals. Track everything. Create a culture in place people want to come to work. And those are some of my tips for how to generate and build a $1 million benefits agency. Brendan, I'm so sorry about the slides at the front. These will be made available, I'm sure, so that everybody can have access to them. I'm going to stop sharing and give it back to you, though.
Great. Thanks, Danny. I would watch you stand up and read from the phone book, so that was absolutely fine without the first few slides. I think we got to them where we needed them, so that's just fine. So, but fascinating information on building a culture in your workplace, in your agency, and I want to let everyone know that you can ask questions via the Q&A or the chat box. We're going to pause for a few moments so that you can go ahead and get your questions in. I'm going to start off with something that I'm interested in, which is member service, customer service, which is clearly a passion for you in your agency. And that's so hard to teach, but you need to hire well. You mentioned one individual that you knew. This person didn't send in a resume, didn't apply for a job. You just noticed this person and hired this person away. Do I have that narrative correct? Is that right, Danny?
So I have. Some of the people, the best people that I've brought on board have been referrals from friends and people who knew me. Mm-hmm. because they knew the person that I was and the personality that would work with me. And so I've had people have come in, sat in formal interviews with their resumes, and we've all gone through that. It just hasn't been a good fit, hasn't been the right person.
No.
But getting referrals and references from people that know you have worked out really well for me.
Okay.
And then I had a question about, will you be sharing the PowerPoint? I'm happy to do that. Brendan, can you tell them where they could access the PowerPoint?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll email the group of attendees afterwards with the link so they can access that. So they'll just click on the web link that I email out, and you'll all be able to access the PowerPoint later on. We'll take care of that. And let's see if we have any other questions in the chat box or the Q&A. Now, you had mentioned the one-page business plan that you utilize, which is, of course, a resource of NAIFA's Leadership and Life Institute. Any other Lilly principles that you apply in your agency that you'd like to talk to us about today?
I love them. I love them. I've got a list of books, and I've been speaking a lot. I've been taking the books. They're actually in a box that I take around and show. So one of them that was in a Lilly 7, I believe, was the Energy Bus, and that's big about your culture. It's big about not just getting the right people on the bus in the right seat, but everybody really sharing that vision. I didn't make, but I asked my wife to read it. She reluctantly finally did. And, the things that are important are two things that I took away from that were about energy vampires, people that are sucking away the life force from your group, from your team, that you're spending a lot of time spinning your wheels with. And they actually make an energy bus for kids. And I love, there's another line in there, we're winners, not whiners. And so that's one that I read with my team. Oh Shift was a good book. It wasn't a Lilly, but we had Jennifer Powers, the author, come talk at a NAIFA Texas meeting. And it was like Who Moved My Cheese version 2.0. Stephen Covey, obviously, 7 Habits. I like the credibility book. I know sometimes that gets mixed reviews, but you really do only have 3 opportunities with somebody. If you to keep that trust, and if you lose that trust 3 times, then that relationship is done. It's just understanding that servant leader mindset, that your goal isn't about you, it's about setting others up for success. And the more people that you can set up to be successful in your organization, the more successful that you're going to be overall. I think that's a really important takeaway from there.
One thing that you mentioned today reminded me of a saying that you find in contact sports like football and ice hockey, which is you can't teach size. And similarly to that, you talked about how the insurance information, the technical details, someone can learn those, that will come, but you've got to have the right personality, a personality of service. And how do you know that you're dealing with such a person that's going to be a fit in your agency?
Yeah, good question. So one, I look at their work history. Where have they been? What have they done? In college, I waited tables. My first job, I was on the phone making 100 phone calls a day to people I'd never see, trying to convince them to open accounts with them. So I look at what their work history and work experience is. And it tells you a lot about the type of person they are and their history that they are. Asking for examples. Again, I've been fortunate that a lot of people on my team have come to me through referral sources. So I've already kind of had some inside track and information on them. I know, and there's nothing wrong with hiring somebody from a home office. I don't mean that at all. I have not had a lot of luck with that. And you're dealing a lot of times of having to break habits. You're having to, get people to learn what it's like on this side and on the sales side and kind of the front line and the broker side, which is very different than a home office side. And so a lot of those things, I think, come into play with it.
Outstanding. Well, that is all the time that we have today. It's at 4 o'clock Eastern Time. I want to thank Danny O'Connell very much for his service to NAIFA, including presenting this webinar today. Tremendously, not just fascinating information, but tremendously helpful information as well. And I want to also thank all of the participants that joined us today viewing this webinar live. And as I mentioned, we will make a recording available to you and the slide deck. This concludes the webinar. Thanks, everybody.